Chapter 5. Dinner means passing a box of cereal around till one or the other of us upends it down our gullet, said Zero. Breakfast and lunch are not words that form in our mouths anymore. Milk, for example, is just a verb to us now, usually involving an action performed on a bloody syringe. So we're in the middle of a murderous knockdown involving Fruit Loops, involving the red, orange, and yellow loops and whether or not each one of these has a special flavoring to go along with the red, orange, and yellow. Blank feels red loops are maraschino cherry flavored and orange loops are tinged with a fresh Florida sun-kissed quality. She is unsure of the yellow loop flavor, but believes strongly in the possibility of distilled squash or essence of sweet corn. Intravenous cocaine, administered at 5-minute intervals along the swollen purple vein named Faithful, gives Blank the superpower to discern subtle trace elements in the loops. I say before all that is holy, there is no difference. No difference at all between red, orange, or yellow Fruit Loops. I blindfold her with the belt from my paisley robe, the lucky paisley robe that has seen me through dog years of tying off above my elbow and never once blowing a shot. The belt is stiff with mine and Blank's black blood. Blank fails the blindfold test involving the red, orange, and yellow loops, but refuses to let it go. One shot later, she tries it on me, pulling the belt tight around my eyes just like before one of our hate fucks. I score way higher than her without even trying. Me of so little faith. From behind the blindfold, I can read Blank's rage like the I Ching. Clear as the morning, she wants me dead. You bleed like Jake LaMotta, said this newcomer called the Science Guy. My wife used to say that all the time before the bug got a hold of her. And I did. I do, I guess. Some people, they're just bleeders, you know? Stuck pigs. So there's a real nice rope of a vein in my neck that I turn to when I need to get a hit without the usual choreography of tying off and rooting around. The usual bloodbath, right? And this requires I take a deep breath and hold it for a very long time, puffing my neck up like a bullfrog until the veins pop out. Very unseemly. Your face turns 10 kinds of purple and your eyes bug out like a Chuck Jones cartoon. But when you lock that spike in and let it dangle there, you get the most biblical rush. Straight into your amygdala, where your old friend Fear used to live. Pure geometry, really. The closer you are to the sun god, the quicker the light falls all around you. Hey, did you hear the one about the guy with bilateral degeneration of the amygdala who was shown these horrific, violent images and then was asked to comment on how they'd affected him, but how this guy couldn't even remember most of them, let alone feel anything like horror one way or the other, because he'd burned out those circuits where emotions are supposed to live, doing exactly the same thing we all do every day. So Rolling Joni leans up through that magic window thing and coos into the driver's ear, said Zero. What used to be her ass is sticking high in the air. I can read every bone in her spine and pelvis through her cream-colored warm-ups. Joni is called rolling because of her free access to a limo and driver, and because she has long ago run out of plowable veins except for a big purple fucker that snakes down her neck like a runaway power line. This vein is a sentient being. It behaves like a distressed eel that has been pierced too often by some very cruel children. We are those children. What Joni likes to do now is hook this neck vein with a heparin lock, emergency room style, and run a line from this to a waiting IV drip, filled with good old New York City tap water laced with a potluck of heroin, cocaine, and whatever other soluble designers and pharmaceuticals find their way into the bouillabaisse. This whole arrangement hangs from one of those rolling IV stands you've seen a jillion times on General Hospital. All this stopped being unsettling a long time ago. It's more of a shock now seeing rolling Joni without the rolling part than with it. When you ride up to St. Paul's Place in Harlem these days, she asks you right up front if you have anything to throw into the community IV drip. It's possible we went up there last night. The playback of the dream is like so many others. Powder piled up in little mountain ranges along the unfortunate glass tabletop. Unfortunate because glass breaks. It's possible we went up there. St. Paul's face is not like many others. It looms over the dream, so it's possible. Those wheels, too. Nothing much sounds like those wheels on Joni's IV rack. So it's kind of a dead giveaway we went up there last night. Dead giveaway. Along with Joni's wheels and St. Paul's face, there's the floating syringe full of black blood, which is really the main thing in the dream's playback. The clogged syringe levitates there in front of me at eye level as the playback ends. Entirely possible it was the four of us huddled around the campfire of all that powder cooking up on the unfortunate glass tabletop. Because it is St. Paul's house and St. Paul's rules. Paul goes first and draws a fresh cooked CC up into the shaft and buries this into his right pit, and we all watch with a kind of feral hunger in that way you do when someone is driving home that first shot and mixing it with their blood to be passed along to you and yours passed on to the next and the next until you all blur into each other. But Paul has this blood thing. Paul's blood is like this tar, and as soon as it hits the air, it solidifies in the syringe, and it puts an end to our little party before it even begins. It's quite possible one of us smashed the glass tabletop, possibly Blank or Joni, probably me. And there the dream's playback ends. But the night was just getting up on its feet. We turned our eyes on the fresh rig dangling from that big, fat, purple vein on Joni's neck. Look up the word infatuation, said the science guy. Intense but short-lived passion. Then you will understand. But you already know this. Look up the word exquisite. Extremely beautiful and delicate. It also means acute, keen, piercing, sharp, severe, racking, excruciating, agonizing, harrowing, searing, unbearable, unendurable. Then you will understand what you already know, what you have always known. Go look up the off-brand god, Morpheus. Hard to trust anyone's 2 cents worth when it comes to the gods. Morpheus got his start in small dives as a mimic, morphing his way up through the god Chitlin circuit. He could become anyone you needed him to be. Think about dope like that. How it allows you a few hours to be whoever. Think about the change origin of the word, not the later drowsy connotation. So pretty soon, Morpheus could be seen around town in a black or white coat, or both, depending on how you looked at it, making his own black or white dreams and beaming them into your sleep. Business was booming. He stashed the blissful white dreams and black nightmares into one of those horns of plenty. And when that horn was topped off, he stuffed the black or white dreams into an old ivory box with probably a false floor like magicians use, where you just keep jamming mountains of stuff in and the box never seems to fill. Think about that. Morpheus the hustler. Morpheus the loan shark of dreams. Sometimes when you're a kid, it's like you've got the gift of sight for a while. Goes Spike. Like you can see flash forwards of the life you haven't lived yet. I saw myself here in this city I'd never even been to. But I could see it just like this. I could. Me standing here in this light, in this time. My death, even. I could see my death moving toward me. Moving slowly toward me like a soft, warm animal. Somebody once told me these ashes that used to be your best friend or your lover. Somebody once told me these ashes that used to be your best friend or lover are mostly just dregs from the bottom of the kiln or whatever, where they roast you down to nothing, said Boney. Just sludge from tons of other people's best friends and lovers. School kids hit by cabs. Homeless nobodies scraped off subway gratings. That rich woman they found weeks later, half eaten by her cats. But you need to believe those ashes are your darling one. And it's that need to believe that drives everything in America. So why fuck with the program? But it's the part about the hoe I can't shake, though. I can't scour from my mind. The part somebody told me once about sometimes a body doesn't burn all the way down. It just bunches and blooms up in there like one of those snakes in a pellet the stoop kids love to set on fire on the 4th of July. So sometimes a body won't cook all the way down. And they have to go in there after with this special human garden hoe and finish, damping down your lover into little breadcrumbs, little fine grains of scatteration to fill that special Ziploc baggie they give you. I can forget about the ODs I've seen. The poor dumb fucker shot through the dome, flip-flopping around on the sidewalk like angelfish. I can forget the beatdowns and the scams and the lower-than-low-down hustles visited each upon the other by human beings I thought I knew, behaving worse than dogs, worse than hyenas. But I just can't get that hoe, that human hoe thing, out of my head. You grow up fast like a vine winding around and through the broken world, said Bam Bam. Things happen all the time that fall outside the lines of what can be spoken about. Things involving bodies. Things bigger bodies do to smaller ones. Things bodies put up their noses and down their throats, and down the superhighways of their arms to blur for a while the stuff outside. This never lasts, but who does? Said the cop at the end of Blade Runner. You find out some other bodies want to do things to yours. Something inside you is immune to theirs from the get-go. Having that torn from you so early is like the murder of all wonder in Christ. But it also creates an opening, as if bullets can pass harmlessly through you now. This is just like X-ray vision or leaping tall buildings. Soon you can soar above the ruins and spot a threat from a half a mile up. You become the getter, not the got. I've got a lot of hate in me, said Spike. It amazes me, the awesomeness. I stand out smoking on the fire escape sometimes. I look down at the bugs below. Here they come like you sprayed raid under a fridge. Endless people swarming. I think about flamethrowers and stuff. How merciful or whatever it would be to fumigate, exterminate. I don't think it does any good to make nice. To pretend I don't want to see some people's heads on a pike, I mean. It's not productive to lie. Since I've been off those pills I can't even pronounce, it all comes gushing like a storm drain. Like LA when it rains too hard. nowhere for it to go. Nobody ready or knows what the fuck to do with all this rain. I feel picked up off the ground by my neck sometimes. Like something's examining me like a chicken. See if I'm good to eat or be thrown back. I feel turned over and over in his hands. Looked at. Smelled underneath to see if I might be rotten. I feel picked up and then thrown down. I don't want to be eaten and I don't want to be let go of. This right here, this is what happens in between. This life. Today's Sesame Street word is enough, said Squeegee. Let's look at this word together. It is a very good word for showing that you are full, that you are complete just as you are, that you are somehow worthy. But of what? They were selling diamonds on the little screen, and we swarmed in close to stare at them, said Zero. The TV was a campfire we huddled around. The diamond girl was holding out a necklace to the camera that looked like it belonged on a hyena. She was moving her lip-glossed mouth, and I could read every word. She was talking to me and only me. My eyes locked with hers, and they shined like the fake diamonds. I've always loved you, her lips said to me. Take me into your life. I want you to destroy me. I see how you live. Every unspeakable act. Even your sopping wet dreams. I know them all. You're worse than anything that crawls on its belly. I know you are right-handed, and you will cup that hand and slap me hard until my left ear stops hearing your voice. You will give me hepatitis and 2 kinds of herpes and a uterus infection that will shrivel my ovaries into rotten chrysanthemums. You'll dislocate my shoulder and break twice my nose and put me on the street to pay for another girl's abortion. If you call this 1-800 number in the next 5 minutes, I'll appear on your doorstep for you to do whatever with. You are my first caller. I started up with the pink stuff from Grand Street again, said Boney. Birds fell from the trees on the first day like someone sprayed Agent Orange. Now, I'm not a judgmental person. I like to give everyone a wide meadow. King Kong, even. King Kong has a right to his own opinion until I start seeing him on the sides of buildings, flashing a Ginsu steak knife. It's the pink stuff I keep saying on that second day in. Just act natural. When you don't sleep, the night reveals things to you and you alone. It talks to you in code through the New York Post, thrown down off the backs of sinister trucks with no drivers at 5 a.m. Man runs naked through the Holland Tunnel, translates into Manson waiting at your downstairs buzzer, or Manson chasing you, don't bother running. In a past life, I stand in line at a toy guillotine waiting my turn. The basket is overflowing with grinning cabbage heads of people I know who haven't been born yet. Hey, I say, can't we empty that? I start singing everything from every 45 my sister ever bought because I've heard they can't kill you if you break into song. The bakeries are just opening downtown, and clearly they smell like Auschwitz. On the third day, things level off. Travis swings down in his golden chariot. He's just come from that little misunderstanding with Sybil Shepherd. I climb in the back and he slams down that antique leather on that meter. We're going to have a quiet, commiserating dinner at his place. You should see B-Girl's face. Meth did a good job on it. Then along came that killer dope last summer from up on Florence Boulevard. I mean killer because it killed off about 196 people, but who's counting? They don't start keeping score until it visits the little towns in Delaware and Pennsylvania and kids with My Little Ponies on their walls. Kids with soccer trophies and perfect SATs. But back to B-Girl's face. It's like meth scooped out all the muscles. And then the killer kitty dope came along and threw a tarp over it. It's a look. It's definitely a look. Did you ever see 28 Days Later? That dope had something in it that left a trademark on some of our faces like it was cut with smallpox. You can look around the rooms right now and pretty much pick us out of the chorus line. The Florence Boulevard alumni. Us in the new rows of empty chairs. We have to remember not to put so many out this year. The chairs, I mean. Oh, but B-Girl's got some bedtime stories, yes she does. I used to work in the rain, she says, when nobody else was out. I had the street to my lonesome, too. I worked the lanes and the river and those projects, what they called. Down there, way down there, below Canal. I kept a lot of bright umbrellas going all the time, and I'd be out there twirling and twirling in the pissing rain. You could always find me from the umbrellas 5 blocks away. See that red or yellow or polka dot pinwheel spinning around in the drizzle, and it was like your roulette wheel. Your lucky night. I know it sounds like the drugs talking, but you see things. You see things out there when you're all alone in the world and the rain and the people in it are doing what they do, and they don't even know you're watching. I seen Geechee get got. I seen him shot by a uniform who stepped right out of a blue and white and popped him in the back of his head like he was delivering the mail. Geechee didn't die right away. He walked away is what he did. I saw a dead man walk away in the rain and disappear underneath those awnings outside the lanes. I saw that. I know I did. I saw them seeing me seeing them. That look on the cop's face. I saw the baboon once, too. Remember that baboon running wild through the projects? Somebody had it for a pet, like that old Clint Eastwood movie. And it grew up, and it got loose, and it ran all up in those towers for weeks. For weeks and months, it felt like. Everybody's scared to come outside. I saw that baboon big as I am, sitting cross-legged right out front of the north wing, reading a newspaper, smoking a Newport, looking me all up and down in the thunder and lightning. I saw that. I know I did. Strike me dead. There was a lot of good out there, too. Out there in Helltown, said Boney. Sometimes the stars were right there with you. All the cherries lined up on the slot machine. They run a special at the dope house. You buy a bundle, get a bag free. The dope is extra right, like your grandmother cut it up in her kitchen. The cocaine from out that hole in the sidewalk is sweet and cool and sings like Marvin Gaye all through your veins. You hear that tabernacle? It's like the world popped its spine back into place for a few hours. You don't even feel your feet underneath you. You make no sound as you float along through the same park where you caught an ice pick in your neck. That park is all lit up now with your friends. All the dead ones come back to celebrate in the clothes they were laid out in. For a few hours, you put down the murder in your heart. You feel like Nero, watching everything burn. Why aren't we happy? It's not in us to be happy. Now make a fist. Piss on you. Why aren't we happy? It's just an expression, like the cow jumped over the moon. Right, but why can't we make our own now? Together, you and me. Why can't we do that for each other? What, make our own moon? Why not? Make our own moon and put a man in it and a woman too. And fly there and be happy. Be happy that we did that thing together. Make a fist like I showed you. I mean, is this all we are? Is this what we were thrown down here for? Is this all there's ever going to be? Happy's not a thing you are. It's a thing you chase. It says right there in the brochure. You pursue it. That's what you do. Now hold this on it. You're bleeding like a... The days replicate, said Zero. It is hard to stand in one and tell it from the next. Once Blank saw the floor move. Sometimes we hear a tiger growling up from the streets. We take up our sniper's hold on the fire escape. Everything that walks or crawls. Time folds. Time stutters and freezes and races with itself. A month is a year. Already we are beyond each other. Finished with what we never started. We float above our bodies and watch each other fuck. There's a thing we do. Lay a meth-encrusted mirror on the milk crate. Strip naked. Share a shot. I slap her face till her ears ring. Grab a fistful of hair. Fuck her mouth. Hold a steak knife to her throat. Pinch her nostrils till her face is purple. Save up my spit and baptize her. Rinse and repeat. Another shot. Deep kisses and fake apologies. Ho-hum. I stripe her back with her dead father's belt. I should kill you for the good of all. Wouldn't it be better? Hold this Heineken bottle up your ass till it thunders. Don't you fucking breathe. I'll cut your head off. I love you. Come on the mirror. Snort it up your beak, you fucking cum slut. You better start clocking for me. What do you want to eat? I think there's some Arturos left in the oven. Turn the TV more this way. This way. The devil rides the lightning down, said Max. Walks the rooftops. Sets up around the next corner. The devil is a smarter version of you. The trick is to believe in him absolutely. It is an old trick. If you do not believe, then he is free to do his thing. You must go then and step to him first, before he steps to you. Forget about evil. He's larger than that. Larger and more subtle. Max is shuffling around and around us. measuring off the room wall by wall, one foot heel to toe with the other. He's wearing a biohazard orange hard hat to keep out the death rays of the sun and the cooler feminizing rays of the moon. Long larval tubes of fluorescent lights snap and crackle over his head. Some of us recognize that prolixin shuffle from Detox or the Psych Ward. It's what a shot of prolixin can do when 5 orderlies hold you down and pump a syringe full through your pajama bottoms. Either way, you know the dance moves or you don't. Rest easy, goes Max. You, with the unclean lips, rest easy in your mercy seats. For there's a kingdom and I've lived there. Died to myself. Died in his voice and his absence. Forgot where home was and never left. Unlearned everything. It makes us feel good to buy things, said Zero. A lamp pretending to be a Tiffany with stained glass cranes flying up. It sits in a corner unopened in the box, but it makes us feel warm inside. We never know what to do with all the cash except turn it into all kinds of other objects. It burns our hands like nettles. Different from stealing. We steal whatever calls out to us and fence off other stolen shit people trade us for the rock. It's all part of the great hollowness. Buying things makes us temporarily normal, and there must be some shred of normal left in us that needs feeding. We bought a guinea pig once and went so far as naming it Clarabelle, which means shining. Blank looked this up in the stolen Oxford English Dictionary. But we specialize in tiring of things immediately, and we set Clarabelle loose in the air shaft. We later found a turned inside-out version of her among the Tampax and the syringes. She looked just like a gym sock you pull off and leave balled up on the ground. The rats had been all over her, and they liked to do a good job. Last winter we bought a full set of Samsonite on Orchard Street. It was all done up in fake, distressed rawhide to make you look like you've been all around the world and back before you even get started. On the back it says, Bon voyage. We like that. We never pop the latches or use a single piece or go anywhere. We just love the way it feels in our hands. An empty metal folding chair where this bodybuilder preacher used to sit. Preacher could set the rooms on fire with his Sturm und Drang. Walk the walk, talk that good old real shit. Haven't seen Preacher in months. We still put out his chair. Nobody dares sit in it. Where you have to start is over, says the newcomer. Why you have to try is or else. Who you have to blame is nobody. When you have to show up is now. What you have to forget is nothing. How much you get to keep is none. A crusty with a Texas chainsaw veil over his or her face nods in the back like a Raphael Madonna draped across 5 chairs strung together. We set them up that way now. It's become a thing. A section near the open windows we call the ward, where the rehab people congregate. Plastic name bracelets, backless flame-proof hospital gowns, the occasional IV drip on squeaky wheels like baby mice, the smell of Lancôme, formaldehyde, and Romano cheese. A woman who looks and sounds like an anorexic Anne Bancroft from The Graduate. Always sits up front. Always an empty chair on either side of her, like she keeps them reserved. Talks in hushed tones about her T-cells and her viral load. All of us are in some kind of shock and awe. All of us are in love. The two we call the ulcer twins, who are a long way from twins, but they look more and more like every time we convene here. Each has a swollen, useless, ulcerated left arm from doing you know what, says Anne Bancroft. They sit on opposite sides of the room like matching gargoyles.